Hey everyone, it's TK Friday, and do I have something different and special for you today? This is browser proofing with web sharpening. We're going to get into web sharpening and browser proofing. Now, what is browser proofing? You're going to find out today. You don't want to miss this one. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. This is my favorite day of the week, and I hope it is yours. Hey, thanks for all your comments and questions. And last week I was working with the triple play, and a lot of you out there love the triple play, and I just want you to know the triple play isn't going anywhere. It's staying in the TK8 plugin for Photoshop. Thank you for all your feedback. But today, something really special: browser proofing and web sharpening. By the way, if you don't yet own the TK8 plugin for Photoshop, it's only $29. Do yourself a favor and pick it up. Click on my affiliate link in the description below and use my promo code DK15. When you do that, you save 15% off anything on Tony Kuiper's web store, which is a great savings. If you're new to TK8, I recommend the TK8 combo. You get the plugin plus a video guide, and also you have my TK Friday every Friday where I go over everything TK, which is a great resource for you. When you click on my affiliate link and use my promo code DK15, not only do you save, but you're supporting the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. That helps me to keep these tutorials coming your way every Friday. And for that, I want to thank you. Now, I got some great things to give you today. Tony Kuiper has set me up to set you guys up for success. In the description below this video, and open it up, because if you don't open it up, you don't see this stuff, and click on more, you're going to find a Dropbox link, which will take you to my Dropbox, and this is what you'll see. Just click the download button, and you're going to get a bunch of really cool stuff, some PDF notes and some actions and so on. And you'll be able to set up browser proofing, but you need the stuff that I have for you that Tony Kuiper has provided for us. And give Tony a big thanks for what he does. He's a great guy. Once that folder downloads, it may be in a zip or some kind of a compressed package. Just use whatever you do to open it up. I'm on a Mac. I just double-click this zip file. And inside here, you're going to find this TK Friday browser proofing. Open that file up, and you're going to find the PDF notes. Now, these are Tony's PDF notes on web sharpening. Very valuable, so keep those handy. And then inside of this folder called TK Browser Proof Watermark and Frame, you're going to find an action in here to make a frame. We're not going to get into that today, but that'll be in a future episode. And there's also a watermark. We're going to get into watermarking. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, let me know in the comments section below. Do you want me to show you how to do watermarking and how to add frames and so on? Let me know. I'd really need to hear from you on that. But you're going to find this browser proof HTML, and you're going to find this beautiful image by Tony Kuiper that says image.jpg. Now, this is very important. We're just going to be looking at these two items today. Oh, I almost forgot. You have this various background HTML. Open this folder up, and you're going to find a bunch of different ways of displaying your browser proofing on your internet browser. And you're going to be able to pick the right one for you, and then I'll show you how to make that all work. Now, you're getting a bunch of choices thanks to Tony Kuiper. Thank you, Tony. We have a white background we can display our browser proofing on. We have a gray background. We have black. We also have black with a white border around it. And then we also have a gray background with our image framed inside of it. So we have a lot of choice. Which background did I choose? Well, I chose the gray background. I like it. I think it works well with most images. Now notice there is an issue here. You notice how the image does not kind of fit into the browser. I wish it would fill the whole browser up. Now, our first step along this journey today using browser proofing and web sharpening is to get our image to fit properly inside of our browser. So we're going to do that right now. The first step is to grab an image. It could be a landscape or a vertical image like this one in the portrait mode. I chose an image in the portrait mode, and let me show you how we can make this fill up that whole browser. First off, we need to open up the Web Sharpen dialog. It's this triangle right here, so give that a click. Let's take a look at Web Sharpen. You'll notice we have all images with a checkbox. We're not going to get into that today. That'll be coming down the road at some point. But we have height and width in pixels. We'll be working with this, And also opacity. This deals with the sharpening of how sharp web sharpening will be. And then we have resolution in pixels per inch. 72. You're just going to leave this on 72. You never have to really touch this, but we will be messing around with opacity and the height and width. And then we could also add a prefix or a suffix if we wanted to. And we have an area here for name. Now you'll notice I have different presets here. I just want you to lean your attention here for a second. See this one here says YT. I made a preset for my YouTube thumbnails. I use that. This WM is for watermark. You can only use 2 digits in these, okay? And BP for browser proofing. Now, I already made myself a browser proofing preset, but I'm going to show you how I made it by clicking on 2 here. This is a default preset, and these are the numbers that you're going to get in it. We will be building a browser-proof preset in this space too. Now you can pick any one of these 4 preset spaces, and I'm choosing this number 2. Now think of these presets. What if you have Instagram images that you like to upload? You could sharpen those and size it up for just your Instagram images or Facebook images if they like a certain size, or you might have a preset for your website where you always put a certain size of an image up, which is really cool. And if you're uploading a bunch of images, that's where all images comes into, but I digress. I don't want to get into that right now, but there's some really awesome stuff in here. So I hope that piques your interest. And let me know in the comment section below if you want to see these kind of tutorials where we can do this kind of stuff. I'd really love to hear from you. And by the way, you can also add a prefix or a suffix to your file name, and you could give your file a name. So let's give our file the name image, IMAGE. Notice I didn't use capital letters. Do not use capital letters. It will not work with the HTML file. This name image is super important. You got to name it image because the HTML file is looking for an image.jpg. Okay, so that's important. You always have to call it image. And also we have extra sharp if you need to add extra sharpness. We have a place where we can add an action. You'd check this on, and then you would add the action by clicking on the little gear. We're not getting into that today. And then you can add a logo, watermark, and you pick it right here with this gear icon. Now, when you're working with the internet, you always want to use sRGB, so make sure that's checked on. And then this is going to really come into play, auto save and auto close, but we're not going to use it yet, but we're going to get to it, and it's very important. So pay close attention to everything. And remember, you can go back and watch this tutorial again. You have this resource for you. But we're going to leave this off for now, and we're going to leave auto close off. And then 2, this is very important. We have to point this preset to wherever that HTML file is living. I'm going to go ahead and click on 2 now. And notice I have this file, which is a browser-proof no-frame HTML. That's the gray background that I chose. And you'll notice I have an image in here. It doesn't matter what that image is right now, and you'll see in a little bit. And then this is where I store in a folder my various backgrounds. But all this preset, which we're going to build in 2 right here, which we're going to call browser-proof BP, it's only looking for these 2 files, the HTML and the image file. Now, this image file will change, and you'll see that here. I don't want to confuse you, but you'll understand what it's all about here shortly. But this folder can be in here, and this little watermark PSD can be in here, because it's not even looking for them. It's looking for these 2. As long as these 2 files are in here, we're good to go. And then we'll just click open. And now 2 is going to be pointed to that folder. Very, very important. Before we go further, let's look at the web browser. I'm in that same file folder that I used for the 2 in the web sharpener. And you'll notice here's that HTML file and an image is in here. I don't care what image is in here. What's very important is I have a file called image.jpg, because remember, we built into the preset that we're working on, the name was called image. So whenever I double click this, now I recommend you don't have to have your web browser open. In fact, don't have it open, because when you double click on this HTML file, it will open up your default web browser. So I'm going to double click this, and like magic, I have that image on a gray background for proofing. It's all sharpened and it looks beautiful. Now, what we need to do, and this is very important, we need to save that HTML file as a bookmark. I'm on a Mac with Safari. You can use Google, Chrome, whatever you're using, Firefox. However you save bookmarks, you want to save a bookmark so you can get to it really easy. For me, I'm just going to click this icon right here to open up this section here, and see my bookmarks are right here. What I'm going to do is inside of my favorites, I'm going to click this and drag, left click and drag this and put it right on top. Okay, and then I'm going to close this. Now when I click right here, you'll notice there's that browser proofing bookmark. Very, very important, because this is what you're going to use to see your proofed images. Now, what I can do is make new tabs. So I'm going to do, and this works on any web browser, Command or Control T, because I need 4 different tabs. That's 2, Command Control T again, one more time. Now I have 4 tabs. Now here's the first one. These other 3 are empty, but not a problem. Now you may ask, hey Dave, why did you put 4 tabs up there? You know, I could have put 1 tab, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever I want. The reason I put 4, because I'm going to show you how I can have 4 different versions of this image, all found in different tabs. And just to show you, if I go to this next tab, you can see there are all my favorited bookmarks. So if I click on browser proofing, that same image goes in there. But if I had a different image in that folder, a different image would come in here, but I have the same one, so it's going to be the same. Now, the same with these other tabs. I can come here and click on browser proofing. You see where that bookmark comes in handy, and now it populates it with that image. And same with this one here. I can go ahead and click browser proofing again. But I'm going to put different images in here, and you'll see how easy this is. It may sound complicated now, but it's really not that hard. So just keep on watching and then just follow my steps. And once you get this set up, you'll find this is a snap and a breeze. Now we got our file browser ready to roll, but now we're going to work on sharpening. But let's take a look here one more time. We're at the default settings here. We have the name called image, which is important because whenever we save this, it goes into that folder for us automatically. Now let's sharpen this image, and then we're going to go ahead and get it to fit inside the file browser. Now notice our pixel count. We're 800 pixels high and 1100 pixels wide. If I click on vertical, it'll honor the 800 pixel high. If I click on horizontal, it'll honor the 1100 pixels wide. Or if I click fit, it'll use these dimensions and fit it and maintain its aspect ratio. It's going to look really small when I click either vertical or horizontal or fit. Let me just click on fit, and you can see it's a pretty small image. So let's make it larger. So let's go back here, and I'm going to take a guess here on the height and go to like 2000 pixels high. And click on vertical, it'll honor that 2000 pixel height. When I do that, now you can see, yes, it is 2000 pixels high. But remember, I'll be browser proofing inside of a browser, and I want it as large as I can get it. So let's go even larger than this. Let's try 2500 pixels high. And now let's click vertical again. And that's going to be closer. Now you'll notice it's sharpening. It has a group called TK8 Web Sharpening, and it's at 50%, which corresponds, when I open up Web Sharpening, it corresponds to this number right here. Okay, and then we can increase the sharpening by dragging this to the right, and also we have a layer called Sharpen 2 and Sharpen 1, and you notice Sharpen 2 has a mask on it. Now we can disable that mask if we want to. And whenever you click on extra sharp, that's exactly what it does. It disables the mask, giving you more sharpening. This is holding some of the sharpening back, this mask right here. Okay, but we're on the group right now. So right now, if I want to make this image sharper, and I don't think it's sharp enough, I'm going to take this the whole way up to 100%. And at 100%, that looks good. Now let's take a look. This video is in 4K. Here is the before. Study it for a little bit, and here is the after. So I think that's really good. Now, if I disable this mask by clicking on this layer, let's X out of here, and I'm going to disable this mask by clicking this X. And as you can see, it's a lot sharper now. Now, here is the before, and now here is the after. I think it's a little too sharp, so I'm going to go ahead and enable this mask by clicking the X again. And I may just drop back on the sharpening a little bit. I'm going to take this back to, I don't know, like maybe 95, 96%. I think that looks good. Let's call it 96%. Here is the before, and here is the after. And I think I like that. That's good. So let's remember this opacity right here and open up web sharpening. Now we need to make this number match this number. So remember, we're building a preset. So let's type 96 right here. Okay. And so now we have the opacity at 96. So whenever we run this, this will change from, it won't be 50 anymore. It'll always be 96 in this preset that we're building. And now that we've got it to this point where we know where we're sharpening it at what level that we like, we can now turn on auto save and auto close. Now this is important because it'll save itself automatically and it'll close what it's done here. So right now you'll notice I have 3 sharpened versions here. So I can X out of these. Don't save, X, don't save, and one more X, and we don't want to save this either. And now I'm back to my image that I'm processing. And now for the web browser. But before we do that, we have to save this as a preset. Now to save this as a preset, all you need to do is Command or Control click on the preset slot that you want to save it to. So I'm going to Command, because I'm on a Mac, this number 2. And now it says the preset has been saved. You may give it a name, but 2 characters is the maximum length. I'm going to call it BP for browser proof and click OK. Now I have 2 browser proofs, but just forget about that. I'll change that out later. But this is the one we're on now. It is saved. I'm back in my Safari web browser, and if you recall, I saved out 4 tabs using that bookmark called browser proofing, okay? And I put that same image in all 4 tabs because on the image of the sunflower field, I'm going to have 4 different versions that I want to compare. And what you want to do is select the tab that you want to save out the web sharpening to. So I'm going to save it out to the first tab. Now we're back in Photoshop, and I went ahead and I saved this as a preset called BP. I'm probably going to have to update this because I kind of jumped the gun. I should have waited, but it's no big deal because I can update this. But right now I have 2,500 pixels high by 1,100 pixels wide. Now, I'm going to work with the height because this is a portrait style mode image, a vertical image. So I'm going to click vertical and it will automatically save it and close it. So we won't see anything changing here. So let's click vertical. And as you can see, nothing has changed here. But now I jump back over to the web browser and we don't see the image here. And you're saying, Dave, why don't I see an image here? Well, you won't until you come up here and remember your bookmark, click it, and there it is. And you can see it is way too large. So the size is all wrong. I got to go and resize this. Now I'm working with an iMac, and iMacs are a little weird. This is a 5K monitor, and I don't know what Apple does when it goes over to the web browser, but it changes the pixel size over there, so I have to compensate for that. You may not have this issue on a Windows machine or on a laptop. I don't know, but for an iMac, this is kind of a weird thing because what you're seeing on the Photoshop screen is the actual size. If I go here and click on web sharpening, that is 2,500. But obviously, that's going to be too large for my browser, so I'm going to have to change this number. And now we got to find the number it's going to work. So I'm going to drop this down the whole way to 1,000. And let's go ahead and click vertical again and see what happens. So now I'm going to go back to my web browser. And now let's refresh this. Now we can click the refresh button here, or a refresh shortcut for all computers is Command R or Control R to refresh. And now you can see I'm getting closer. Now I'm going to go back to Photoshop and try again. So let's go back to web sharpening, and now let's try 1,200. 1200, click vertical, and now let's go back to the web browser and refresh this Command R or Control R. I'm getting closer. I'm going to go back, and now Let's go back into web sharpening and let's change this to 1280. Let's try 1280 and see what we get. Maybe I'll get lucky. Click vertical. Go back to the web browser and let's refresh. Command or Control R. I think we're almost there, but you notice this scroll bar over here, we're just a little bit off. We need to just make a slight adjustment. I'll open up web sharpening and let's change this to 1270. I think that may do it. What do you think? Let's click vertical. And now back in the web browser, let's refresh. Command or Control R. And now the scroll bar is gone. So that's it. Now we're not done yet. We also need to do this with a horizontal image to get the horizontal dimensions. You need to do a vertical image and a horizontal image. And once you do that, you can save out your preset and you're good to go. As a reminder, if you'll recall, when I started out, I opened up 4 different browser proofing tabs so I could compare this image 4 different ways. But we're going to set this up for the horizontal width. We got the vertical width. We're good there. So I'm going to go to the second browser proofing. And as you'll recall, there was a sunflower in each one of these tabs. But we're going to use this tab right here to set up the horizontal for our preset. Let me go ahead and open up this tab, and this has the horizontal image that I'll be using. So let's go back into web sharpening, and we got our height at 1270, but now we need to find our width. Let's run this and see what happens. This time, instead of vertical, we're going to use horizontal. Now remember, autosave is on and auto close is on, so let's click horizontal. And now back in the web browser, I'm on the second tab. Now I need to refresh this. Command or Control R. It refreshes it. And you can see it's not wide enough. I don't care about the height. I'm only concerned about the width. That's all I need to be concerned with. Back in Photoshop, let's open up web sharpening. We've got the vertical adjustment. Now we need to work with the horizontal adjustment. So let's change this. I'm going to try 2000. And remember, this is trial and error. Now all I have to do is click on horizontal and we'll see our result in the web browser. And now back at the web browser, we're still in the same tab. Let's refresh this tab and see our result. Command or Control R. We're getting closer, but we're not wide enough yet. I don't care about how high it is. It's how wide it is. That's all I'm concerned with. Meanwhile, back in Photoshop, let's open up the web sharpening again, and I'm going to try 2400 pixels wide, and let's go ahead and click horizontal and see our result back at the web browser. And we're at the web browser again in that same tab. Let's refresh it. Command or Control R. Can you see the trial and error? See, we're getting closer, and I think I'm going to settle on that. I think that's going to be a good width. I think that's going to be fine. I could try to go a little bit wider, but I think I'm satisfied with that. And now back in Photoshop, let's open up web sharpening again. Now I have the height and the width already set. I have my opacity set. I'm not using extra sharpening. Everything is set. Now I can save this out as my new preset. I'm just going to overwrite what's in here. Command or Control click here. And I already have BP here for browser proof. Click OK. That setting gets overwritten. And now, from now on, we never have to touch vertical or horizontal. We're always going to use fit. It'll always fit into the web browser at the proper aspect ratio. That's very important. So that's all there is to it. And now let's see what we can do with browser proofing. I know this is a long tutorial, but I want you to know beyond the shadow of a doubt how to set this up. And hopefully you're going to be happy with what I'm showing you today, because once you get this set up, it's going to be really great to be using this browser proofing. Now let's test out this image here. Let me go ahead and remember I said click on fit from now on. After we've saved out the preset, you'll always use fit. So let's click on fit. And now let's check out the preset results. So let's refresh this tab. Now you can see it's way oversized here, but when I do Command or Control R, it fits perfectly because we figured out with that vertical image, we figured out the height, and with the horizontal image, we figured out how wide to make the pixel count. And remember, I used fit instead of horizontal. We'll always use fit. Now that our preset is made, I'm back here in Photoshop. Now let's check out how we can use this browser proofing. So here's my starting image, and then I added some TK8 dodging and burning on it. And let's save this out to the web browser so we can compare the original to this. So let's click on Web Sharpening and make sure you're on this preset and just click Fit. Now here we are in the web browser. If you'll recall, here's the original image. I go to the second browser tab, Command or Control R to refresh, and there it is. So now take a look. Here is the original, and here it is with some dodging and burning done with the TK8 plugin for Photoshop, and it's all sharp and everything. So this is a great way of making comparisons. Now let's compare a third version. So let's open up the next tab, and it's got the sunflower, but we're going to refresh it, so don't worry. Now let's go back to Photoshop. Just for the sake of comparison, I went ahead and added a warm color grading layer on top with the color grading tool. Let's turn it on, and let's go ahead and save this out to the web browser. So come to Web Sharpening, click Fit. This is a special announcement. I almost forgot something very important to really speed up the workflow immensely. Once you've saved your preset and ran it the first time, after that, all you need to do is, I'm going to close this, hold your Command or Control key down on your keyboard and click this button right here, and it'll run everything for you without ever opening up Web Sharpening. That's very important. I almost forgot to tell you that. Now let's refresh this tab, Command or Control R, and there it is. Let's compare it with the previous tab. That's without color grading, and that's with color grading. It's just that easy. And now one final comparison. Let's go to the last tab. My last layer has a vignette on it, so let's turn that on. And now let's save that to the web browser. We'll just click Fit again. And now make sure you're on that last tab, Command or Control R. And there it is. And now we can compare them all. Here is my original starting point. Then I added a little bit of dodging and burning. And then I added a bit of a color grade. And then I added a bit of vignette at the end. So there you can see my stages there. And now you know how to browser proof your images. Now it's great for just maybe having one tab open and just adding sharpening to the image just to see how it's looking, how it's developing, or if you want to compare images like you're trying different editing, especially at the end of the process, like you might want to use some soft pop and compare it to the original or whatever. You get the idea. It's really helpful. And don't forget, you can use web sharpening for Instagram images, anything going up on the internet to social media like Facebook or your website. If you're not using web sharpening yet, you need to start using it. Make yourself some presets. And it takes a little bit of time to make a preset, but once you get it, it's so fast for you. And web sharpening will really make a difference on your images online. Now, web sharpening is not good for print sharpening. You need to use other means for that. But for web sharpening, this is the way to go. Well, there it is, everyone. Browser proofing with web sharpening. Now you know how to browser proof. You know how to do web sharpening. And Tony Kuiper has placed a lot of work into this web sharpen module. It's fantastic. So let Tony know what you think of it. It's a lot of work. It's a labor of love. And this video was a labor of love as well. If you enjoyed today's tutorial, please give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe, click that bell notification icon. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll be notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. I'll see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing.